I don't even actually want to have the thing. I'm going to pretty much just kind of run through how I start my synthesis with you. Imagine I have a cold water bath here. Let's say you've got your gallon jugs that are filled up with the proper water level. You weigh out your sodium hydroxide. I use red cups. And you add it. You have a cold water bath in here. You have your gallon jugs in here. And you want to add it maybe a quarter of your sodium hydroxide to a third at a time. You want to shake it up. Make sure the reaction doesn't get hot enough to melt the plastic. Just shake it up at a time. Let it dissolve. When you see most of it's dissolved, add more in there. You may want to change out the water bath if it warms up too much. But you want to dissolve all your sodium hydroxide. Then you'll take your root bark, put your root bark in there, shake it all up really good, sit it somewhere, let it sit for a day as it breaks down the cell walls. Then you come it out, you put it in the hot water bath. You probably already know how to do this, the hot water bath, the poles. You want to make sure not to get any of the black layer in there. None whatsoever. You want to just the clear liquid on top. Then when you pull out the poles, what I use kind of like a quart glass mason jar with a screw top. You want to put your naphtha from your poles in one of those. I think what you did is you did your poles and you put them out on a plate to dry. You don't want an open, like an open surface thing in the freezer. You want something closed and frozen, kind of like a quart mason jar. So you take that, you stick it in your freezer, 24 to 36 hours. You pull it out, and you should see a bunch of crystals, like white fluffy crystals, either attached to the side or on the bottom. Should have, I don't know, I normally get about a ½ inch crystals there. Then when you have your crystals, you want to very slow, when you have that all frozen out, you want to very slowly pour out all the naphtha you can get. And then what I do is I actually reseal it, stick it back in the freezer for a second, kind of maybe at an angle, like most of the crystals are kind of clumped to a side, maybe at an angle and let more drain, but you want to pour out as much of the naphtha as you possibly can. Make sure you don't have the crystals drop and fall into the sink and then lose all your product. Then you want to put it, I use what do you call it, a ceramic plate, not a plastic plate, but a ceramic plate. And I use actually an old scalpel from Biolab, and you kind of scrape out the crystals like this, stick them on your plate, you let them dry, and say here you have your plate, you have all your crystals here, there's a little bit of liquid obviously in there, the crystals may be a little bit kind of mushy, but you should definitely see a lot more solid mass than you should see liquid. And it should be white, slightly yellowish. Then to dry it out, I would leave this here, and I would put a fan on low, right about here to gently, or maybe a little bit further. You don't even want to be able to feel the breeze directly on the plate. You just want to have it very slowly moving air molecules over there, because when it dries, if you have it too close, it'll take all your powder and blow it all away. While it's drying, I get a razor blade, and as it progressively goes through its drying stages, chopping it up is what gets you your best quality DMT. It doesn't have that overly really bad plastic kind of taste to it. So you want to keep chopping it up so it gets the most reaction surface area for letting the naphtha evaporate. Let me know if you have any more questions.